Hey, we're back for lesson 6. This is solving algebraic proportions. This topic is going to lead into the next topic, which is similar triangles, and we'll be solving proportions to solve for sides of similar triangles. We are going to do 1 through 6 together on this sheet. So again, if you haven't printed the sheet, you can print it or you could work on loose leaf. Afterwards, 7 and 8 at the end, I will give you the answer to those. But we'll just work through 1 through 6 on this sheet together. Okay, you also might find too, you might prefer working on loose leaf. The sheet might not have enough room for you to work depending on how big that you write. Okay. So number 1, when solving proportions, what we're doing is using something called cross products. So this is actually kind of similar going backwards when we talked about equivalent fractions. We have fractions here and these are equivalent. So there are multiple ways of solving, and maybe some of you might see things that others don't see, but I'm going to give everyone kind of the basic way of solving them no matter what type of problem we're faced with. But these are the same thing as similar, or not similar, equivalent fractions. Okay, so we want to use cross products to solve. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the denominator of one and we're going to multiply it by the numerator of the other. So we want to multiply 4 by all of this. So I'm going to show 4 times v plus 1, so all of it in parentheses. And then it's going to be equal to the cross products of the other side, of the other two. So I'm going to do 8 times 24. Now, if you don't have a calculator near you, you might want to pause the video and go get one, or use, Google a calculator if you don't have one at home. So throughout this sheet, you might want a calculator by you. I don't want you to have simple errors in your arithmetic that are going to mix up your answer along the way. So now we have an equation that we need to solve. Over here is just simple multiplication. You're going to want to do 8 times 24. We get 192. So again, go to your calculator. Over here, so remember when we have parentheses, we have the distributive property. So we're doing 4 times v, so 4v, and 4 times 1, so plus 4. Now it looks like, drum roll, hopefully you're all saying a 2-step. So I'm going to leave the variable alone, inverse operation, and subtract 4 from both sides. So it's gone over here, leaving me with 4v. 192 minus 4 is 188. One last step, divide by 4. V is equal to 47. I'm going to check the first 2 of these. After that, I'll leave it up to you guys to check if you'd like. But we can check these just like with all of our equations. So for the lack of room, I'm not going to rewrite this. I'm going to go ahead and fill it right in. I've got 24. So V I found to be 47. So 47 plus 1 equals 4 over 8. So again, a couple of different ways of checking these depending on what you're given and what you might see. But again, these are equivalent fractions. So some of you might notice this right away. You can use your equivalent fractions and divide. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 48 divided by 8 is 6. So in other words, we would divide both of these by 6 to simplify this down to 4/8. The other way, so if you don't see those equivalent fractions right away, again, we go back to those cross products. So right here, 48 times 4 should equal 8 times 24. Now we've already done 8 times 24 and we found 192. So we just need to make sure that 48 times 4 is also 192. So if you're using a calculator, use one. 48 times 4, 192. So I know that that works out. We did that correctly. All right, let's try 2 together. Now it doesn't matter which way we set up our equations. If we can, and you'll see some different ones along the way here, but if we start with a variable first, that keeps your variable on the left, and a lot of you guys like that. So 3 times 2g minus 7 equals, over here I'm going to multiply 15 times 5. Some of you may also want to skip this step of writing this down and go right to 75 here, because you could either do that in your head, or if you punch it into a calculator, you don't have to show this. We can put that 75 right there. Over here, I have distributive property, so I've got 6g minus 21. Now we're right back to a 2-step. Inverse operation, we add the 21 to both sides. 6g is equal to, I'm sorry, I think I practiced these earlier and I think I mixed something up, but let's keep going here. So I think we've got this correct right here. So I think I subtracted when I practiced it earlier, so I even mixed it up. I didn't check my work. So we got 96. Okay. And now 96 divided by 6. G equals 16. All right, let's check this one, because now I've confused myself. Let's make sure we got this right. So my check, 15. I'm gonna fill my 16 right in. So 2 times 16 minus 7 equals 3 over 5. So I'm going to do 2 times 16 minus 7. I'm going to simplify that right up all at once. I used my calculator, and I got that to be 25. And now looking at equivalent fractions, this looks like it works. I'm going to use cross products to check it, though, because that will always work if simplifying confuses you a bit. So 25 times 3 is 75, and 15 times 5 is also 75. So I did it right here. Earlier I mixed that up, and that threw me off. All right, 3, pause your video, give this one a try. Okay, check it if you wish. Doesn't matter where we start. I'm going to start with my variable. Keeps my variable on the left. So I've got 21 times 5m minus 3, all in parentheses here, and then equal to 9 times 63. So I'm going to go ahead and do 9 times 63, and I get 567. And then over here, I'm going to distribute 21. So I've got 21 times 5, 105 m, minus 21 times 3. We've got 63. 2-step, I'm going to add 63 to both sides. Crosses out. I've got 105 m equal to 630. Divide each side by 105. M equals 6. Okay. Pause your video. Try 4. I'm going to start with my variable. 3 times p minus 1 equals 12 times 10. On the left here we have distributive property. 3p minus 3 equals 120. Now I have a 2-step inverse operation. I add the 3 first. This cancels out. 3p is equal to 123. I've got my one step. I want to divide by 3. And p is equal to 41. Okay. The next two you're going to notice are a little bit different. If you are confident, pause it and give it a try. If not, do 5 with me and then pause it and try 6. So they're different in that they both, or they're not they both, I'm sorry, that there is an a in 2 different places now. I have an a in my numerator over here and an a in the denominator. So maybe you're guessing what's going to happen. We're going to end up with a's on both sides of that equal sign. No need to panic. We've done this before. All right, so if they're on both sides, it doesn't really matter where we start. Here I've got a plus 20 times 1. 1 times a plus 20. And then the other way, I've got 5, so equal to 5 times a, or 5a. Well, 1 times anything is itself, so you might want to write this as a 1a plus 20. Sometimes when we don't see that 1 there, we forget that it's a 1, so it could be helpful to put the invisible 1 in. So 1a plus 20 equals 5a. Variables on both sides. Well, there's no other terms with this one, so we can't move this term. We have to move this. Luckily for us, this is also our smaller variable. Inverse operation, I subtract 1a from both sides. 20 is equal to 4a. Divide each side by 4. A is equal to 5. Okay. So pause the video, try out 6, and then after 6, pause it and try 7 and 8. I am not going to go through 7 and 8 with you. I've got them ready to show you those answers. Okay, so again, pause. We're going to end up with variables on both sides again, so it really doesn't matter which way I start here. So in all of these, it doesn't really matter which way you start. It just depends on where you want those variables to fall. So I'll do something a little different here. I'm doing 6 times c minus 2. All right, so if you think about it coming down this way and this over here, 7 times, parentheses, c minus 25. Okay. Distribute on both sides. Draw those arrows so that you don't leave any pieces out. We got 6c minus 12. On the other side, 7 times c is 7c minus 7 times 25, 175. Variables on both sides. My suggestion is to move the smaller variable. So I'm going to subtract 6c from both sides. We get negative 12 is equal to. So again, here's that 1c. Leave that 1 there. Might help you out. Now it's a 2-step. Subtraction, so I'm going to add 175. Add 175. Negative 12 plus 175 is 163. I'm going to write it over here. 163. Well, and 1c is just 1c or c. So our answer is 163. So one more time, pause the video, try 7 and 8. I am not going to go through those with you. I'm going to give you the answers here in just a second. So pause your video. Okay, here's your answers for 7. X is equal to a negative 140. If you did not get that, pause it and go through those steps, see where your mistake came in. And then 8, H is equal to a negative 18.5. So here you can see that they're not always whole number of answers. Sometimes these answers can get really messy. On the worksheet for tomorrow, the instructions tell you to round to the nearest hundredth if needed. Okay, so these answers always don't come out nice. Okay. All right. Try those questions out tomorrow, and we'll see you back in a couple of days.